Today we have the privilege of having Jonathan and Dani Bowden with us. They are missionaries in Niger. 11 years they've been serving in Niger, and also Elim Bible Institute and College alumni. So we're really glad to be able to have the opportunity to talk with them today.
Well, we are the Bowden family. I'm Jonathan. This is my wife, Dani. We have 4 children, Isaiah, Anna, Grace, and Michaela. We're serving in Niger Republic. It's in northwestern Africa. Above Nigeria, below Libya. To the west of us is Burkina and Mali. To the east is Chad. So we've been here now this is 11 years for us. We came in 2010. So we love what the Lord is doing in Niger. It's a privilege to be here. We work with a big team on the ground. Church planting, discipleship is really the major of our ministry here, and we love it. Yep.
Awesome. When did you know that you were called to the mission field? I guess, both of you, feel free to answer, individually, because I have a hunch it probably happened individually.
It was a slower process than for Jonathan. My mom read us missionary stories when we were little. We were homeschooled, and so she did a lot of missionary stories. And as I was reading the missionary stories, just the power of them and how missionaries can affect people and touch people's lives, and how amazing God was on missionaries' behalf as they're reaching out to people, just really impacted my life. And I felt like that was something that I would love to be a part of. And but I didn't really have a specific place in mind. I did love Africa. I'd been on a trip to Africa, but my place, it really got fine-tuned when Jonathan had a more specific calling. So it was definitely a slow process, but it was something that since a child, I've had that draw to missions.
How about you, Jonathan?
Yeah, when I was really as young as I can remember, I always wanted to be a missionary. And I believe that it was probably around the age of 7 or 8, really, when I began to really feel like I was drawn to the mission field. But I also grew up in a home that was very good about reading missionary stories. I have all these missionary classics, Buchko and all the old missionary stories that I just devoured. And I was like, oh, it'd be so cool to serve the Lord. And my big thing when I was young was like, I don't want a boring Christian life. As I grew up, I realized that it's not just getting the call, it's also the process of being ready to fulfill the call. And I went into probably close to 30 years of preparation before being released in 2010 to come full-time as missionary. And Elim was a big part of that.
Well, that's a great transition that you mentioned Elim. I mean, most people never heard of Elim, so it's hard to imagine how such a small place, could have such an influence and an impact. But so how do you hear about Elim? What drew you to Elim?
Yeah, well, for me, it was when I was 15, I took a mission trip with Teen World Outreach. And when I was there on the campus for 1 week, preparing to go serve for 3 weeks in Morocco, the Lord spoke to me. I'd never been to the campus. I had also never heard about Elim. But when I was there for that week, getting ready for the mission trip, the Lord spoke to me and said that this is where you're going to come back to college. And I remember, I think it was a chapel service that we had, and the dean of students or someone in the faculty came and spoke with the TWOs, all the ones that were going to be going on the mission field. And they basically said, this is always available for you as an option if you want to come to school here. We're preparing for end-time revival and all that. So I just felt the Lord really impacted me that week when I was at Elim. So I just fell in love with Elim at that time, and then came to Elim afterwards. When I was graduating from high school, I wanted to come to Elim, and I came for the 3-year program.
Our family really, I think that about the time that my parents got saved in their 20s, they got saved into groups that ran in Elim circles. So really from the foundation of our family being a really spirit-filled Christian family, Elim has been part of our family. So Elim, we went to the camp meetings when we were young. Some of them, we knew a lot of people who were Elim people. My dad would often take us up to Elim for services in the tab back in the day. And so it has a special memory of just special family. We had a lot of friends. And my dad attended for a while. My older brother was there at the time that I went. For us, Elim was really just my parents said, we'd love you to just go to Elim for at least a year. take a year, focus on the Lord, ask him what he's calling you to do. Just take a year to just soak and kind of absorb the atmosphere. So it was a fantastic year for us because we had amazing friendships, we got amazing teaching, we sat under such amazing men and women of God. So it was a really great season. And then from there, different ones of us went on to graduate. I went through the mission track, we all just took that first year, and from there we went on, and it was very special.
Well, that's amazing, and just to see how Elim had such an important part and place in that and component in how God was calling you to missions and forming as a part of shaping your call. So how would you say, can you point to anything specific or something that stands out, how, in what ways did God use your time here at Elim to prepare you for your calling, to hone you in on your calling? What specific ways?
Yeah, I think I can say there's 3 different ways for me the Lord really spoke to me during my time at Elim. One was the encounters with the Lord, like those special times of prayer, the week of prayer, the first week of the semester. I think every single one of those every year was impactful. The Lord spoke to me. Another was the lifelong relationships that I met at the time. I didn't realize the importance of it, but to this day, it's over 20 years now. To this day, some of my best relationships came from that time when I was at Elim. Some of my best friends, my wife. We have a lot of, prayer team behind us. Like so many friends and relationships in the States came from that time at Elim. So that was a huge part of that. And then the third thing is the practical teaching in the mission classes. I remember Ben Dodsway and there's a few other, Harry Velacoop and a few others would just really pour into us and give us practical examples of what it was like overseas and living there, serving the Lord, and from their life experience and things like that. So I just fell in love with missions even more because of the exposure to the Lord in the chapel services, and then also in classroom teaching. There's the practical teaching examples, as well as the lifelong friendships that were also oriented around sharing the gospel, reaching the lost, and being engaged in bringing God's kingdom to earth as it is in heaven. So those are the 3 things that really impacted me.
Yeah, and how about you, Dani? Anything you want to add to that?
So, as I said before, I had a heart for missions even before I went to Elim, but wasn't really sure what that was going to look like and how it could practically happen. So Elim was really a great structure for me in helping me pursue missions further. The classes, like I went into the mission track, so I had classes focused on missions, what that might look like, what I might face, how to prepare, and then getting to meet missionaries was a huge deal for us. We got to, as they had the week of prayer or the missions week at that time, they would have missionaries come through. So we got to meet people who had been on the mission field. Always really special. One of my favorite memories is I got to meet your mother-in-law. Debbie Harris came in and she spoke to our class about hospitality and the importance of having hospitality on the mission field. And I still remember what she told us. It was so important. And now I think of it often on the mission field because we have to be hospitable all the time. So those kinds of experiences, hearing from missionaries, the real practicalities of life on the field really helped me develop even more of a passion and a vision as to what that would look like. Then also at Elim, there's the fostering of the ability to soak, spend time in God's presence, hear from Him, have those mission weeks, the prayer times that you're really asking the Lord, what do you have for me? I feel like Elim has been really good at fostering those times where you can really connect and hear from the Lord. And in those times was when you felt that connection, like, yes, Lord, here am I, send me. I don't know how it's going to look yet, but I'm available.
Available. That's such a powerful word. And, do you have any other words of what you would say to a prospective student? If a student is saying, "Hey, I'm considering Elim, and I'm thinking that God I'm sensing this call on my life, and I'm not sure what to do with it," what would you say to a prospective student?
I would say spend time in prayer, asking the Lord what His will is, and as He gives that peace to you. If He gives you peace about going to Elim, absolutely pursue it. Because I feel like He'll enable it to be a life-changing season in your life. If that's what he's calling you to do, you're feeling that tug, like, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would encourage someone who's thinking about, they have a call of God, they know it, they want to be in ministry, they want to even just ask the Lord, what do you have for me in my life? Like, what is next? What's the future? I would really strongly encourage them to go to Elim, to just spend at least a year and just soak and to be in God's presence, make some lifelong relationships, and really just seek the Lord's will, to be fashioned and formed for service practically. I know for just in our life how the Lord used Elim. It was kind of like a way station. And even in the Old Testament, Elim was like an oasis. It was a way station between one place to another. And I feel like Elim is like that. It's like a connection that if you don't go there, you miss out. And you're just in the desert, and it's a lot of problems. But like if you get to Elim, you spend some time there, you get filled up, you get refreshed, you get engaged, you get connected, and then you get mobilized for that next season of ministry and being launched out that God has for you. So I think mobilization, as well as being prepared to get launched out into ministry, is really critical for a time spent at Elim. And I would just encourage someone who's interested to really go with a teachable spirit, with an open to the Lord, to speak to them, to do whatever they hear the Lord saying, to be ready to be used by Him, and to just go for it. Just go to Elim, spend that time with the Lord, make some friends, and then get engaged with that next season that comes after Elim of being launched out into the harvest around the world, wherever that may be.
Well, you mentioned the desert, like oasis. Elim is that oasis, right? And if you don't, like you mentioned, I like what you said. If you could miss it, you miss the oasis. You're in the desert, But I've seen your reports, your newsletters. It just seems like, God's doing amazing things in Niger, and God is moving. What if you could think of something from your Elim experience that really connects with, that you can look at with your ministry and what you've learned and gleaned and experienced. Are there things from your time at Elim where you could say, boy, I'm sure glad that I had the opportunity to have that imparted into me, because if that really helped me in this situation? Or can you think of a specific situation where your Elim experience was beneficial?
Yes, the practical internships, the ministry internships at Elim, like the weekend ministry outings. For me, the Rochester Urban Center, working to the homeless, even down the subway, and I love that ministry. It was one of the highlights during my time at Elim, was being able to go out and just meet people and to just pray with them. And we went as a team. So over here in Niger, we work with a team. It's not just like we're not soloing it. The day of the Lone Ranger is over. Like, you have to be teachable, you have to be willing to work with a team, and you have to be willing to just really be an encourager of a team. And doesn't mean that all of your ideas always fly. Like, sometimes over here we've learned that sometimes our ideas aren't that great, the culture, things like that, and we have to, usually I'll present something to my team. I'll be like, hey, what do you think about this? And they'll be like, yeah, that's great, or no. So Elim, what I learned at Elim was that there's a team, and it's important to be teachable, to learn from the team, those that God's placed around you in leadership, those that He's called you to serve with and under, as well as to be able to do it practically. Like, just get out there with the team and do it. Just like we did at Elim, going to the Rochester Urban Center with the homeless. We just applied our faith in practical ways. We prayed with people. I'll never forget, there was one time when on the subway, the old subway in Rochester, we were underneath it, and there was just some homeless people there, and they said it was the first time they'd heard the gospel. We gave them some sandwiches, we're talking with them. Some of them started to cry. We just began to put our hands on them, pray with them. And the team that I was with, it would just impacted us so much. We were like, we can't wait to go back tomorrow. And the fact is, we get to live like that here in Niger. It is a desert, but God's doing amazing things. And almost every day we see things that God's doing. We're working with a team here. We're seeing people getting saved, filled with the Spirit, baptized, raised up. We're seeing new believers get discipled, and now they're pastors, and now they're reaching unreached people groups in North Africa. It's amazing. So just that same thing that we learned back at Elim of working with a team, being teachable, servant heart, is you can apply it directly to where God has launched us now. So I would really encourage someone with that. Yeah.
Is there anything you want to add, Dani, from your side, from your experience?
I don't have a specific story
story, but I feel like one of the things that we really came away that is helpful as we're ministers in Niger is the people that we met at Elim, the people that invested into us, the people that we came away with being friends. I mean, obviously I met Jonathan at Elim, but even to this day, those people pray for us, they support us, they encourage us. We know if we need anything, if we need prayer, we can pick up a phone, we can call someone on, we can Skype someone, and immediately any one of the staff at Elim is still available. They would pray for us, they could counsel us, they'd encourage us. So I'd say that team, as we're working here on the ground with a team, we still feel that behind us is that team of people. And most of those people we really have in our lives as a result of Elim. We're very thankful.
What's maybe one fun story or memory that you have from Elim that stands out?
Other than like the big one, which is meeting Dani. I just remember one day, the memory that I have is in Brother Ben's class, and there was this rivalry back in the day between Brother Ben's class and Brother Barry's class. So I remember one day it snowed, and Brother Ben was like, yeah, I think we're gonna get done a little early, and you guys can use the time however you see fit. The Brother Barry students are still in class, and so we all ran outside. We made some snowballs. We ran up and pounded them. That was fun. One thing I did enjoy too with the missions class, we would always have to do one message outside in front of everyone on the lawn. And that was actually really important. It really helped me a lot because we do a lot of outside meetings now just because there's no buildings. We don't always have a nice building or a nice sound system. We're way behind the digital age in Niger. Over here, it's like you just go out under some straw and you have a few hundred people around you and you're preaching, you're teaching. So that was really good for me. And that was fun too. And in the mission class, Ben Dodds, where he had us go out on the front lawn and he would advertise it so all these other students would come. They try to distract you, like while you're trying to preach, and it'd be about 10 minutes long, and at the end you have to do an altar call. So we would all try to, distract each other and things like that. I remember when I was preaching, it was the first time I'd ever done it publicly like that in front of a crowd outside. I'd always been in the building before that, like a church service. So it got us outside the church, kind of comfortable feeling into the grass on the lawn, in the jeans, whatever, just wearing whatever we had at the time, not like fancy clothes or anything, and just preaching our heart out. But I remember when I was preaching, I had some of my classmates come up and they actually picked me up and started carrying me back. So, Ben Dodds was like, I'm going to score you on this. Like, yeah, I'll give you 100% if you can just keep preaching till the end of the 10 minutes. So I kept going, and they picked me up, they laid me down, they picked me up, I just kept preaching. And anyway, I think I got like an A+ on it, so I felt good at the time. But anyway, I haven't had anyone do that here in Niger. No one's picked me up while I'm preaching, but it did actually come in handy to not get distracted in big meetings outside. Yeah.
Wow. What would you say to a current student who's seeking to discover their calling? Maybe, they're, students who are thinking, they're just really not sure what God has for them, but they're wanting to take the next steps. What would you say?
The first thing is to seek the Lord himself, not just to seek him for your calling. I learned over time that the Lord wants us to seek him. And as we seek him, then he begins to lay out the process of the next step and the next step. So the first thing is really just to seek the Lord for himself, to really just get honest with the Lord in the quiet place and just really seek him. Lord, what's your will? What do you want me to do? And really just develop more relationship with the Lord of knowing him. And then the other thing is to be teachable and to spend time with those who are doing what is in your heart to do someday. For example, I think the number one thing at Elim that really helped me to do what I'm doing today is the senior internship, the junior senior internship. Between my junior and senior year, I spent 10 weeks in Niger, which is where we're here right now. And that 10-week internship was critical for me getting the vision of being a missionary and hands-on doing it. So I would encourage a current student, if they are really interested in something in ministry specifically, even if they're not really sure, just try it out. Go for it. go with someone who's really trusted and someone who's a good mentor, and just spend time with them. Be teachable. Just spend a few weeks, spend a month or two, spend a summer with a pastor, with a youth leader, with a children's director. Come over here to Niger, spend some time with some, missionaries in the desert. Yeah. And just do it. Just get out there and do it, because when you do it, you actually see more of God's heart for the people, for a country, and it develops your giftings in a way that you can't find anywhere else, even in the classroom. So I would just say, get out there, do it. Don't be bashful. Don't be ashamed. Don't keep saying, oh, what should I do? If God's put a call in your life and you know it, you have a drawing to something specific, just get in contact with someone, with Brother Matt or someone else, and just do it.
Well, I feel like he just kind of read off my notes, because I was going to say basically the same thing. I don't think we ever saw the end of our calling at the beginning, and I highly doubt we even realize the end of our calling even now. That it's such a process of God showing us one step at a time. And as we sought him and seek him daily for that one next step, he gives us that one next step. And we can never see much further ahead than that. It's like the walk of faith. And then yet you can stop at some point and look back and see the whole line of steps that he has brought you so far. And it's a miracle to watch it. So that calling, like what Jonathan was saying, one step at a time, as he gives you peace to pursue something, or you feel a nudge or a draw, that's the time to pursue it. Take that next step. It might not be the end all, but it might be the next step to the next step that eventually you end up like we are, to say, whoa, how have we been in Niger for 11 years? We don't even know. But God, one step at a time, just slowly brought us to the place we are. And who knows where he'll take all of us in the next years of our lives as we just follow him one step at a time.
I wanted to add something too. It's really important. When I was a student, I didn't realize the importance of this as much as I wish I had. It's really important to be involved in the local church, to be involved in the authority structure, like to be serving, to be teachable, to be just helping out in any way. Like it was, for me, it was after Elim, after I graduated, I had a season of working with our pastor. And I went to him and just said, anything that you can do, just use me, I'm here, I'm available. And I started cutting the grass, mowing, and and vacuuming the church. And then we started doing the children's program, and then we started to do preaching and teaching on Sunday mornings. And then over the process of time, we were released to the mission field. So I can't underestimate the impact that someone will get from being involved in a local church, in a healthy local church, because they're the ones that will send you. Elim's a great place to get imparted to know your vision, your calling. The local church is the thing that will send you and launch you out. So those two go together. And if you can have both, it's perfect, because it can launch you right into the next season of your life.
That's one of the things I appreciate about Elim, just never seeking to substitute the local church, but to support and partner with the local church. And that's just such a beautiful, powerful thing. Thank you so much, Jonathan and Dani, for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you're busy homeschooling your kids, and life is crazy, but we just appreciate so much everything that you've imparted and shared with us, and we know that it will be a blessing to our students and also prospective students. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the privilege and the opportunity to be able to share.
Yeah.